Welcome back, everyone. Episode 2 of the LFC Toronto Show. We're sticking with that name. And fellas, statistically, we are now past that hump of being content creators because so many people do the first episode, but never do the second episode. So we are ahead of the curve and we are killing it, so to speak. So happy to be here. Lots to talk about. And without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest for this week, which is Bernard. I'm not going to try it in the Canadian accent. So Bernard, give us your origin story. Tell us how you became a Liverpool fan. Your time at OLFC Toronto. We want everyone to hear the whole goods.
Yeah. So my father's a football fan. I grew up here in Canada, in Toronto. My father's a football fan. So we're from Hong Kong, and the Premier League is really big in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And in my father's generation, I would say most of them are United fans. My father's not really a United fan. Yeah, exactly. He's more of a Premier League fan, so to speak. But we used to watch a lot on the weekends, as much as we could. And I kind of took to it a little bit, I guess. I played a little when I was a kid as well. Wasn't really good at it, but my youth was surrounded by football. And I think in terms of Liverpool, the first thing I remember, where I was truly like a fan of it and not just watching with my father, was probably the Istanbul final. I remember, Champions League matches were on weekdays, right after school. I was in high school at the time, and I was just at home, and I knew there was the Champions League final was on, and I went home and I started watching it. And I mean, honestly, it just kind of engrossed me, right? Everybody knows the story. I don't have to go over it again. But I do recall one thing was that actually I had a friend from high school, and he was just over at my house, and we were just chilling and we were watching the game. And he wasn't really into football at all. But I remember he got really into it. So shout out George. Thanks for giving me a good time being my partner watching that one. But yeah, I think that was when I first kind of, and it is, in truth, it's kind of Glory Hunter-ish, because the first thing I watched and how I fell in love with them was watching them win, a major European honor. So, but that being said, I think at that point I was kind of hooked. Prior to that, I had, exposure here and there. I have an Owen kit actually that I'm probably gonna burn. but yeah, so from there on, every summer we'd go back to Hong Kong, and then in Hong Kong you could buy so many football just things, kits, whatever. And every time I'd go, I'd come back with a new kit. And I'm sure at some point, maybe not today, at some point we're going to talk about kits, right? So I have some stories about kits, but we'll talk about those later. And yeah, at that point, that was in high school. So I started watching, it became the weekly ritual. And then to get to OLFC Toronto, what happened was I was in university at the time. I didn't know about it until university. I went to university at downtown in U of T. And I wanted somewhere to watch the Champions League match because actually a few friends of mine, classmates of mine, we all were into football, couple of Arsenal fans. And what happened was we wanted to go watch the Arsenal Liverpool. Was it a quarterfinal, semifinal? Can't remember.
The 4-4? Oh no, sorry, no, that was
I was at the game,
that was
the Champions League game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when Babel ran through at the end.
Exactly.
Torres, Gerrard, Babel. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Hoppius got the first goal actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was crazy because I was at Scally's. We were in the corner, the corner that nobody likes, where there's a freaking pillar that blocks the view. So we were just standing there, and at the time, Scallywags was a pretty there was a pretty big Arsenal contingent that went there, fans.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty heated in there, and it got pretty crazy because I remember there's before Babel scored, or maybe when Babel scored, there's a really bad, I think Mascherano committed pretty tactical foul, I would say, or something, and all the Arsenal fans were up in arms calling for red cards and stuff like that.
I love Mascherano.
Yeah, exactly, right? But anyway, so that kind of sealed it for me because then at that point I was like, well, this place is awesome, right? So another friend of mine from outside of school is also a Liverpool fan, and we would start to go every weekend, wake up early, did the whole thing. And that I think was that 2008 or 9, maybe. I think it was around that time. And so ever since then, we've been showing up to the matches. You know, well, with COVID and everything, it's a little bit tough. But yeah, I've spent many 6 a.m., 7 a.m. mornings lining up at Scally's, and met you lot. So that was good. But yeah, that's kind of my thing with LFC Toronto and with Liverpool.
That's a beautiful story. And honestly, like if you're a neutral and you watched Istanbul and you didn't become a Liverpool fan, you're kind of in the wrong game. And I know we're biased, and I know we're gonna have a really upbeat show, and I know that there's gonna be times when it's not gonna be, and this whole next few months is gonna be ups and hopefully not, but maybe some downs. But this week is awesome because we're gonna get right into a couple of things. But before we do, that's a beautiful story, and we're so excited to feature more and more of our members and community, and just like get everyone to know each other. And like, yeah, that was really cool. So thank you for that. So I'm going to throw it over to anyone who wants to pick it up, because we're going to start with Arsenal. So the Scousers, we're going back to Wembley. It's so friggin' exciting. Who wants to talk about that game?
Look at this. Like, we have been timing for like good, right? And we were worried about our AFCON folks, where we're going to get goals, that red card, parking the bus, what's going to happen next, where are the goals going to come. We knew we always know we have the talent, right? Our midfield, we've already had this conversation. Our midfield was the worry. You know, we went through our scores last week. I think I said 2-1. I think Dan said 4-0. You said. Nevertheless,
that was Palace. That was Palace.
Palace.
Which we were on anyway. I digress.
Nevertheless, you know, like how lucky are we to get Diego, right? Like Diego is on a different level, and I didn't really rate him when he was like at Wolves. I maybe I didn't see enough about him, whatever else, but I saw some videos in the summertime where he trained with all the Portuguese Olympians for jumping, running, whatever he could, and it was really, really admirable in terms of like he's trying to push his limits in his game, right, outside of football, to be the best he can be, right? And so now having those goals, okay, fine, he might have scuffed the first one, but he went through the nutmeg, great pass by Trent, like worldy, like from the other side, like yards and yards, and he took it in stride, nutmeg that defender. Tomiyasu.
It was Ben White. Well, no, sorry, it was Tomiyasu. Yeah,
and then just
Tomiyasu,
you know, and I'm not sure what happened to Ramsdale, if he was in slow motion or like he caught it so late in that perspective, right?
I think he put his weight on the other foot, right? And like it's too.
That's right.
Like he's a big lad, so it's very difficult to go back. I kind of felt like the slow motion added to the mix as well.
And looking back at the clip, how funny does that look from a reaction perspective, right? And you have all these drills where you're tapping things, you're doing all this stuff, and you're sitting there and you see the ball and you're like, oh, I moved. And then did you train? This is your job, and you can't get there. And it was late, right? Like,
yeah, he was caught out for sure. And speaking of caught out, Bernard over here has the same sweater as I, so I just want to call that out right there. But anyway, comments hashtag. But anyway, no, I think Ramsdale is actually a great keeper, but he does get caught, right? Sometimes, I mean, you've seen him in different matches where, and not just obviously with us, but other matches, he's spectacular at times, but then he's prone to that howler here and there. He kind of reminds me a bit of like the English Kepa, if you will. Like he'll have some amazing saves and suddenly, you know. But just on the Diogo point, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel that he has a bit of Suarez in him. I don't know if you noticed that.
I've heard Suarez. I've heard Fowler as well. Suarez and
Fowler, yeah, Robbie too. I mean,
yeah.
But just that class to like he has Robbie's sort of poaching, like just natural instinct of goal. Same with Suarez. But I think he has that cunning streak of Suarez too, right? Like he'll shithouse. Yeah. Like he'll get right in there and like mix it up with whoever and always sell it to the ref. Like I know Robbie and the English lads really don't get into that, but
yeah,
Diogo's like literally crashing, stepping into the keeper's lane, you know, from the Palace match, and like, you know, literally like going right across the line to try and draw something. So like I'm just so happy as part of this team, and he's really brought a lot. Yeah.
They're great comparisons. Where I do think he aligns a lot with Fowler as well is he scores big goals in big games.
Yeah.
And that was one criticism I had of Suarez even in real time. So like in 2013-14, the top three were City, obviously then Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. And Suarez didn't score against those. And of his 31 goals, he scored something like 12 or 13 against the teams that ended up getting relegated. Now, all goals are equal. It's all good. You got 31 goals. But the thing with Robbie Fowler and Mo's like this as well is he always scores in like key moments in key games. And Jota's like that. Like Jota's so clutch. We are very lucky. And I know there's been a lot of chat this week about like succession planning as it comes to the forwards, but like Jota's got us in a really, really good place. Talking about good place, I'm going to talk to Bernard about this. Trent's performance. Talk to us. What the hell was that? That was incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Trent's kind of been like a volatile character, I think, with fans in recent months, just because, you know, some people think his performances have dropped off, but then he comes back with like that worldly pass that he made to Jota, right? And for his second. And even I can't remember if just thinking about that, because I think in the first leg of that against Arsenal, he made was it Trent or was it Robbo who made like a similar pass to Jota, but then I think Jota got fouled on like the edge of the box, and that was the red card. Was that I can't remember if that was Trent or Robbo who made that pass, but I mean both are fullbacks. Both are fullbacks are just amazing passers of the ball, right? And you can see that Trent is just leagues above anybody else in the league or even in the world right now as a right back. I think he's probably easily the best right back in the world.
So that's controversial because Mbappe just yesterday.
The Mbappe tweet.
Oh, what did Mbappe say? I didn't see this.
So playing for Morocco, Hakimi scored two. Scored 2 free kicks. So he said best right back in the world. I think it's all banter. But one point about Trent before we move on. This guy was in the number 9 role when this move started. So Hendo fills in at right back. Matip plays into Bobby with the flick. And Trent is like the further. He's like redefining that position. Like he's totally redefining it.
Is he even a right back? Like that's the thing, right? That's what people say. Like that's part of the thing. Is can you even evaluate him as a right back? Because the contributions he makes offensively, I think he's like way up there in assists.
He is. He's
in the Premier League since like 2017 or something.
So since 2018, he's 3rd in Europe. So Thomas Muller's number 1. Lionel Messi is number 2, and Trent is number 3. Like, it's actually insane. I very much in jest last week said it would be really cool to see him in a number 8 or like in the midfield. I know Jurgen Klopp isn't going to get down like that because we don't need him to. And yet this guy's like breaking from midfield more than our own midfielders do. Dan, what were you going to say?
I was going to say just that point because Southgate tried that, right? And obviously we as Liverpool fans disagree with what England do, but he tried that. But when I don't know if you agree with this, but when you set up, right, starting a match, Trent in the middle or in the middle of the park or in a sort of midfield creative role, I feel as though he gets kind of lost because you're sort of pigeonholed, or he's sort of pigeonholed by that position. And if you don't keep your shape or stay at least somewhat compact, cut down the spaces and all that, you could get found out as a team. And so for like the unique role that he plays at Liverpool, I feel like it suits him perfect because he has a creative, and people who harp on him, by the way, on his defensive game, like, anyway, I won't even get started on that, but like recognize real, if you know what I'm saying, like recognize what he brings to the pitch. And that is like, that contribution is immense as you just said there, with your stats since 2018, it's just ridiculous.
So first final in 6 years, hopefully we win our first domestic trophy in 10. That's too long for us. We said this last week. It's going to be amazing. This is we're putting this out on the interwebs, but we want obviously the tangent of LFC Toronto. We're so excited that we're all going to be together, 50%, unfortunately, because of reopening, but still, we're gonna be together for a final. It's gonna be so cool, right, Jake?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're trying to organize the events right now to house all the fans. It is, kind of a blessing in terms of at least we get 50% capacity. We're still doing the checks and balances with the COVID checking and vaccinations, but we're just trying to organize a few spots to manage that. It's going to be a hot ticket to get in. We're going to have reservations. We're going to need a reservation in order to get into the events, but we'll have more details shortly on all our socials and the web as well. But it's going to be a great time, great events, raffles, a whole bunch of other stuff. We've got a few things planned, so we'll look forward to that one.
It's going to be so cool. And 3 days after that Arsenal game was the Palace game, and such a weird game of emotions and sections. It definitely wasn't a game of two halves. It was almost like a game of 3/3. The first 35 minutes, pure class.
Absolutely. I mean, I had come on last week's show and said that it'd be a 4-0, and that's the type of form and level that we were playing at in that match. I felt actually at the Ox goal, I felt that we should have been up even more. I think we had more chances. I think Jota missed a sitter somewhat. But yeah, no, there were some great chances, and but credit to Palace. I mean, like they were 12 days rested, I think, before that match, and we were on fumes playing 3 or 4 matches in 10 days or something like that. Some crazy stat. So you could really see our legs gone, like especially after that, nearing halftime.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that really struck me was that, usually Jurgen has changes something at halftime, and we come out fresh. But just it didn't happen in this match, and we were sort of just looking at the international break with that next 45 and just like slogging on. And credit to Ali as well for keeping us obviously in it, and yeah, it was a great performance.
I just don't think he could freshen it up, because I just don't think we had it in the legs. You hit the nail on the head, right? Like, there's no games in 12 days. Not ideal, to be honest with you. Like, it's not great prep for Palace. And I think that another team that had like a bit more of a swing may have beaten us or drawn against us, because we weren't at our best for that 65 minutes.
Well, they were missing Zaha, right?
Yeah. So we were missing 1 or 2 as well, though, right?
A couple of special African players.
What do you think about the goals, though? Right, like there's a lot of controversy about the goals. Like once I read the other day about, like, Bobby was in the mix, as in, it went over his head. Was it considered offside? Like a lot of like the Clattenburgs, like people, the retired refs are just clamoring on Sky, saying, he was offside here, he was this here. Of course, we're going to take it, right? Nevertheless, and of course, this whole notion of VAR, checking this at what point, and of course, it's not automated, it's not computer. We're not computer, sorting out the computer, so it is another person looking at that in their opinion. But like it's so close to make those things, and like, are they offside? Like, should it have stood? Like, of course we're going to take it, but what do you think?
Bernard, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were the most controversial decisions we've seen this season. Maybe not even to do with Liverpool. I think the first one, the offside one, you could make an argument perhaps that he did, affect the play, but so much of that is still just down to interpretation, right? I truly feel like at the end of the season, these kinds of decisions, you get one here, you lose one there. It's not really super consequential at the end of the season. Perhaps, I don't know. I know that
not if you're Liverpool, but
seasons past, yeah, exactly, right. But I on the Jota penalty, like personally, and I was saying this already, like to everybody. When we were watching it, that I personally thought it was a penalty. I know that there's a lot of thoughts that Jota, moved his way into Ramsdale.
He didn't.
But the truth of the matter is that Ramsdale was nowhere near the ball, and he slid in. Like Ramsdale was not in control of his own body, and he slid into Jota as much as Jota. If Jota didn't move and was stationary, Ramsdale still would have slid into him, right?
And
on top of that,
Palace. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Palace keeper. What's his, Guaita, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm getting all my.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, so he still would have slid into him. And I don't know. Again, this is really down to interpretation, but I felt like Jota would have got a foot on the ball had he not been clattered into.
Do you know what?
Whether he would have scored, I don't know. But
you know what? I actually agree with you, Bernard. But I guess when you're watching it live and in the camera angle, it looked like it was a pen because he made contact with him. But then that slow motion replay, right, comes in, and you're like, and then you see a motion towards, and I'll put my hand up. I'm in the Cara camp where, I actually didn't think it was a pen. As much as, yes, you can follow the rule right to a T. He made contact. He was out of control, quote unquote. Yes, you can say all that, but these are English refs. At the end of the day, we know the standard of refereeing in the PL can be somewhat suspect, and VAR as well, right? I mean, Pawson as well on VAR that match, and it's like, I just felt there's no way this is not going to be overturned because of the motion that he makes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the reaction after the play or foul, and it wasn't like it just wasn't like a vociferous sort of like reaction. I felt it was just like, okay, goal kick kind of thing, and then the whole antics sort of started. But I don't know. I kind of saw it both ways.
To me, I also didn't think it was a penalty or a stonewall penalty. I didn't think it was enough to, if the ref's given no pen, I don't know if it was enough to overturn it. But what's really, and it should never surprise me or shock me, but like, I have been blown away by the reaction from other fans, not even Palace fans. In the, like, I'm not saying I don't think it's a penalty, but it's definitely not like a 10 out of 10 not penalty, right? Like it's it's borderline, it's up for debate. Like I think 4 out of 10 people would give it and 6 out of 10 people wouldn't give it. Like it's so close. We got it. But the last detail that people are forgetting is we were 2-1 up.
It was 2-1 up. Exactly.
There's penalty decisions like this at like 0-0 or like 1-0 and someone makes it 1-1. Yeah. And I had a guy go at me on Twitter. I barely even do that anymore because it's just too much emotion and like. But I had a guy go at me on Twitter saying, "Well, Tottenham won 3-2 the week earlier, so like we don't know what would have happened." Firstly, we know that we're the king of late comeback, so like it's all good. Like when did Arsenal last do a late comeback? And it's because I was an Arsenal fan, by the way, going at me. That was the first thing. We know that there's late comebacks and stuff. Crystal Palace rallying against Liverpool late? Nah, I don't think it's that like probable or whatever. But regardless, we were 2-1 up. It's a 40-60 penalty. And people were acting like it was like 0-0 in the Champions League semi-final. And like, like the Lovren, when Lovren put his hands on Rooney and Rooney fell for Everton and stuff, like that's way like less of a penalty. But like we had to stomach it, the Tottenham game a couple of Januaries ago. Yeah, when like, the Harry Kane and didn't they get to retake it, or am I getting my Tottenham?
That was like the Eric Lamela one where
Lamela.
He just went down, right?
That's the one.
And it was just so soft. I mean, same thing with
that one. That was after Mo scored that.
After Mo's
worldie.
Exactly.
That was that of all goals was such a deserving of a game-winning goal. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And to be robbed of that title or result because of that penalty that like,
do you know what though?
Double.
Do you know what though? It's funny because the Spurs match earlier this season when we drew. The first half, remember Jota got run over, right? He got absolutely run over. He couldn't even kick the ball. That was actually worse than this call.
Way worse, right? And we didn't get it.
Way worse.
We didn't get it.
I mean, it was a howler, right? And we didn't get it. And so there's an analysis done. Again, I'm not trying to plug other sort of sites or Liverpool, fan sites, but there was a great analysis done, I think, by Tompkins. I got to shout him out. And it was a graphic, and he compiled the data on since VAR's been in place. And I'm gonna share it with this group and obviously in our chat and all that. But it's crazy how far Liverpool's expected, decisions, on these sort of calls go. Because looking at the top 6 that he had, it was like we always have this reputation of big team, big club. Refs put away essentially the whistle because chances are we're probably blowing the other team out. So can we even give this decision sort of thing? That creeps in. I don't care what anybody says. That creeps
human
into
beings,
a VAR.
human
Yeah,
beings,
human beings,
100%.
Right? Yeah, and the crowds, right? Because the crowds influence, like, hey, you know what? Give us a chance. We're the poor minnow kind of thing, right? It's like, okay, but let's call it by the rule of law, or at least the football rule of law. So anyway, I digress on that point.
Last point, and then we'll keep this moving. Last point.
Yeah.
Someone has to say something about Ali, because we spoke about Ramsdale before. We didn't even big up Kelleher in the first game, but Alisson on Sunday. Jake?
Like, thank you, Coutinho. Thank you for leading me, and thank you for Ali. Like, he's just a mountain of, and the big thing is, like, Pepe had it for a little bit as well, because we haven't had a solid keeper that could move with their feet, just distribute the ball, generally speaking, and was a complete presence. And I would imagine just, I used to play a little bit back in the days, and I imagine if I had a keeper like that, right, where I know that I can make a few little mistakes, I can go out of the box just a little bit, try something different, and I know he's going to have my back, right? Even with his eyes closed, he's making saves, right? Imagine he's 6'5" or whatever how tall he is.
That, yeah. He's
coming at you, and imagine you're coming at him, and the space that he's going to take up in that massive net, right? And positionally, he's in the right spots, right? And he's just distributing the ball, like, beautiful and timely as well, right? And he's been doing this over and over and over and over again. Don't get me wrong, he's had a few bobbles here and there, mind you, right?
Sure.
It is what
so
it is.
Did Peter Schmeichel.
All
top goalkeepers do.
I will take that in a heartbeat, because he's sound, right? And imagine it gives the presence of, like, Matip is running with the ball, Konate is running the ball, Virgil's running the ball, and then you got the backs. They're just gone then. As soon as they get the ball, they are gone, and they know that these guys will sort out the back. And it's such a godsend to have a keeper like that, and he's going to be here for the next foreseeable future. So it's almost like, I feel for Kelleher for a little bit, right? So I don't know, we're going to have that difficult conversation at some point in time, how long he will stay here for. And we have Pitaluga and the rest of them as well, but that's going to be very, very interesting. But I love it. I'm happy that we have that defensive structure. It's sound. Yeah. That's part of the spine is set, and it's a beautiful to watch him play in and out, and he's on our team, which is a beautiful thing.
That save he made on the back heel.
Back heel, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like that, the reaction time you need for that is just ridiculous, right? Like at that point, I was just hoping, VAR, offside, something like that. I thought it was going in.
Yeah.
And the reactions he had to make that save is just amazing, just ridiculous.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just on the spine comment, in terms of our solidity, how is Fabinho not even mentioned in this conversation? He's been our player of the month, 100%. I mean, just goals, but then also having that,
as well, yeah.
Right? Like, he's chipping in everywhere. Anyway, I just want to say that, just shout him out.
Oh, actually,
Rebecca Tavares as well. Shout out.
Yeah, expert YouTubing there, mate, because you just set us up for what we're going to talk about next week, which is the season so far and the title race. There's no games this week. Obviously, the majority of this show has been on 2 games that have just gone. And in the week coming up, we have no games. So we're going to spend next week talking about the season so far, so we can highlight our own personal favorites for performances and everything. And then on top of that, we can just have a little look ahead to what the title race is going to be, because it's going to be such an exciting end of winter, spring, early summer for us. So that's what's going to be coming out next week. And we can also talk about the fact that the winter break has seen us finally get a rest as well, and it'll be 18 days between Premier League games. We'll probably know a little bit more about who's coming back and when at that point as well, because just looking at the time, we're going to start to wrap this up. We got to spend a little bit of time talking about this thing, which is we might see a Mo versus Mane final. They're on separate sides of the draw.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
And give this guy contract, please. Can we just please sort out his contract? I don't care what it is, just pay the lad. If we have to buy some more kits and these gentlemen have to buy more sweatshirts, let's just go do it. Because
I'm gonna buy some for the club.
We haven't had quality like that in just he's solid, and the amount of goals he's scoring is just unreal. And look what he's doing for Egypt. Like, wow, right? He's in the right spots, and they're man marking him with half the team just for him.
too
right?
were on him the whole
Doubling up,
time.
yeah.
Right. And how tough is he? And he's physically strong. Like he's a tip-top shape, right? Thank God there's no alcohol. It's a beautiful thing. He's eating well, taking care of his body, and it shows, right? And we know we think that he can stay with us for time. We just need to give him that. But credit aside, like look at these guys that are leading our team in the AFCON right now, right? They're like Mane just
let me
had a
chime in on
concussion.
Sadio. Yeah, let
Go
me
for it.
chime in on Sadio. That's my boy. That's my boy.
Mane had a concussion, scoring the goal. Like, how
I
much
hope he
do they
doesn't have a
give to these
concussion.
countries, right? How much do they give to these countries? They will maybe be the presidents of their countries when football is over, right? Like,
Dan,
it's just a beautiful thing to see, for sure.
Dan, give us some Sadio love.
No, I just, you know what, I everything about that man brings a smile on my face. I mean, his selflessness on the pitch, off the pitch, his selflessness for his team. Even then, right? Think about that. You just got knocked out cold, right? Tough collision. You saw the clip, and then the wherewithal to sort of quote unquote shake it off, then score a worldie. Then it's like, a lot of players, and you talk about toughness, right? Mo has this as well, which is this relentlessness, this like never give up sort of attitude, and I kind of want this pod to reflect all of that, right? I mean, so next pod, maybe we all have never give up shirts like Mo did in that CL semi. But like Sadio embodies that. I think the both of them have that friendly rivalry, right? Saw that one game where they had a little bit of a mix up, but they actually thrive off each other, and it'd be something if they met in the final. But if they did, who would you back, or both? I guess you wanted to see a good match. What do you think?
Well,
Zaz or Bernard?
No. Before, I just have to preface it. If they both
sure.
get to the final, which would be a wonderful thing, it's 4 days before the Leicester game. Like, it's on the Sunday. We play Leicester on that Sunday. I mean, we play Cardiff on that Sunday, but we play Leicester on that Thursday. So one of them would fly right back. The other one would probably fly to the capital city, do the parade, and then fly in as well. So, like,
good point.
I love the fact that they're both there, and I know how much it means to them as well. But like, I mean, if I'm going for one, I'm going for Mo, because I actually want him to get the individual recognitions as well. But really, it doesn't matter. I think it's a beautiful thing for Liverpool if either of them does it. If it's a Mo versus Mane final, that's even better. But it's I can't pick between the two. But we'll know more next week.
And just before Bernard, chimes in here, I'm going to say, did you guys see the clip of Naby and Sadio just chilling and vibing? I just want to bring Naby up in the conversation. Sorry, sorry, Bernard. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah. So I guess we have to let Dan have his Naby moment every pod, I suppose. That's probably a longer discussion for another day. But between the two of them, between Sadio and Mo, I mean, if they both get to the final, it's a really tough decision. Personally, I would probably prefer if Sadio won it. I think he's had the tougher of the past couple of years. Mo's kind of built on his strengths and gone on and got his plaudits and everything. But Sadio, Sadio's an emotional guy, right? And you can see it in his play. He has a mean streak to him when he gets angry, but you can also see when he gets frustrated. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think in this moment, it would just mean, it would mean the world to both of them. But I feel like Sadio needs it more than Mo does. And given that Sadio is such an emotive kind of player, it might actually bear dividends for Liverpool when he comes back, brimming with confidence, so on and so forth. Yeah, Mo is just at another level, right? He's transcended that whole thing. Not to say that he doesn't care about Egypt, but that he doesn't get phased, right? And obviously winning it is still a huge boost for him. But I think, relatively speaking, I think Sadio, I would prefer Sadio to win it, and hopefully that would reap benefits for the club as well.
It would be a beautiful thing. That's it. I'm so torn. I was actually debating this earlier today. I'm like, because when, for example, the Egypt penalty shootout was happening, boys, there was no chance I wanted Egypt to lose. And then I caught myself, and we were all talking on the LFC chat as well. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, you know, if they go out today, then he can, but I'm like, I can never want him to lose, you know? And like on the other team was Eric Bailly and Zaha. And like, I was like, why I can't want them to lose, you know, sorry, want them to win, like against Mo
like,
particularly.
You know, it's like cheering against Liverpool, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, completely.
Plus, bro, you're rocking the kit, so you gotta be supporting them for sure. At least at least today. Sorry, Jake.
No, it's beautiful. We're all torn, and you're right. The allegiances are we love the players, and then of course you see these people from the other squads on those teams, and you're like, no, this can't happen at all. No way. And then it goes into your mind, like, what are you going to do? And then of course, lesser of two evils. We want them back. First of all, we want them back uninjured, and this whole Sadio thing has got me really shook because thank God he had that picture in the hospital with I guess Mo's cousin, it looked like in the end, right? Nevertheless, but it was like he was waving, he's a tank as well. He treats his body very, very well, which is a beautiful thing. You know, he's clean cut, which is great. Him, Bobby, Jota, and they're all fantastic human beings, and we just want them home safe. I was worried about Nabila too as well, getting injured, and knock on wood, he's coming back.
The match.
Well, right?
You're gonna see that. You're gonna see that one in the comments.
Nevertheless, you know what?
Liam.
It's great to see our people in the positions that they are, and they are the hardest working people, and they're hustling, and they're loved by their countrymen and around the world, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. And of course, we don't want it to end, but someone's got to win.
But that's a great point you bring up, Jake, because they're real stars for us, and they're global stars, right? I mean, they're in top 10, top 5 Ballon d'Or voting and all that. But what really speaks to me is how they're adored by their national fan base and teammates, right? So you see, for example, I think it was the coach of, I forgot the country they were playing. I think it was like the Senegal match or it was another match where they said, I think the coach said something in a press conference saying, the conditions, which is a whole nother story, the other side of the story, in terms of like the lesser teams. But if you wouldn't see Sadio Mane wash his underpants, and stuff like that, which speaks to again the sort of tournament as well, which is like, certain nations or certain players are sort of given certain treatment and whatnot. And then with the injury as well, the treatment, right? I mean, you think about it, like a lot of people were calling for the implementation of the rules to get Mane off the pitch. And forget about the Liverpool sort of connection. I for the first time in my life, I've never done this on Instagram, and I don't go on Instagram a ton, but I actually messaged Sadio's official account with just like a prayer sign, because honestly, like I legit felt for the man. Like, I mean, that sort of knockout or play, it's like, and the keeper as well, by the way. And I didn't have his account as well, but I mean, I would have sent him the same. But it's like, it's dangerous, and I think they should have really stepped in. But thankfully, hopefully, it's okay. No lasting effects and all that. But it's crazy though, like some of the conditions and
I'm sure like Jurgen and the medical staff had their like they're just they couldn't watch. They couldn't bear to watch that.
Yeah. Well, this is it again, because if you look at who's been out, who's been injured, like when the team comes back, obviously Cardiff first, but then Leicester a few days later, potentially we'll have the most players available that we've had all year. Like, because Mo and Mane will be playing
with Harvey as well, right?
Harvey's back. Apparently, Origi should be back. We've got Thiago's back. Everybody's
Thiago's going to be back?
Apparently,
that'll be a good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're getting back into like next week's territory, because next week we're just kind of going to look what's happened, and then also look ahead, because obviously we won't have any games specifically to talk about, but we will know more about the AFCON as well. So I think that's a wrap, boys, unless anyone's got anything else to say right now.
We just got look for our socials for the Madison, and a few places that we're going to try to organize for Cardiff. Make sure you get your reservations, get your shots, do all your thing, and please look out. It's reservation, first come, first serve. So please do your due diligence and do the right thing and get a spot.
And another thing, just another club announcement too. Check out lfctoronto.com in the member section for those members out there. We've revamped the member perks, so there's some new perks that you want to take advantage of. I know COVID's around, but you know, if you can get out to some of these establishments, it's great. And you know, it's for you, it's for the members, and that's what we do it for our community. So
amazing. And all I've left to say is, if you're watching this video, please do subscribe, because we do need that subscriber count up for various reasons. But also just like it, share it, comment it. We are growing this very organically, and we are very committed, so we're just going to keep going. But the quicker we get to certain milestones, just helps the channel grow and get us to a point where we can just keep this moving. So with that, episode 2 is over. Thank you so much to Bernard for being our guest. Thank you so much. We didn't even plan this for wearing the same.
Next week you're going to have 3 of the same ones, right?
Yeah. People are going to start
Love
like
it,
deliberately doing it. But we'll never forget that on this occasion, it was meant to be this way. So
also just in the comments, who wore it better, please? Who wore it better?
Fair enough.
Oh, man.
Have a
Shout
great
out to
week.
Subscribers.
Cheers, have everyone. A great week and weekend, and see you all next week.
Bye for now.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Take care, lads.